Hi there, my name is Kevin Duska. I am the president of Prime Rogue Inc. Today, I want to talk to you about escalation theory in international relations and how it applies to the ongoing conflict between Israel, Hamas, Lebanon, Iran, and the broader Middle East. Now, we've recently seen this massive Iranian ballistic missile attack against Israel, probably the largest ballistic missile attack in history. Not much was damaged, but at the same time, it is the type of gesture similar to the Israeli assassination of Nasrallah that in general cannot go unanswered to in international politics. And escalation theory is kind of the framework through which we can explain this. It's heavily based on structural realism, although it does have important insights from psychology and other allied disciplines. But what we want to kind of focus on right now is why we're at a stage where further escalation of this conflict is borderline inevitable. We make the assumption in international relations that states are unitary rational actors seeking to maximize power or utility in an anarchic global environment. Anarchy doesn't mean chaos. It means a lack of central authority. It means a lack of central governance. It means you can't call the cops if someone invades your territory. Sometimes we can break that down and actually look at the domestic level rather than mere balance of power politics. So we won't just say unitary rational actor, we'll say rational actor, and we'll break down how the domestic politics of the given crisis influence it. But one thing that whether you're breaking down the rational actor model or not, states are always seeking is deterrence through credibility. That is to say that you want to be able to deter your enemy from attacking you by showing that the costs of such an attack will outweigh the benefits. Now, if we look back to October 7th, when Hamas, which arguably has nothing to lose as a terrorist organization, used weapons of the weak to attack Israel, Israel had no choice to respond. So it basically carpet bombed Gaza, killed tens of thousands of civilians, and basically decimated Hamas. Now Israel's going to war in the north with Lebanon, but is engaging in such significant decapitation strikes against Lebanon that it's leading Iran to respond. Now the reason for this is both sides are trying to deter each other. Israel is trying to prevent another October 7th by showing to the world, hey, we can absolutely destroy you if you attack us. But Iran is showing, well, we have our interests in the region, and if you mess with them, we're going to attack you. Even if we're less powerful, we can probably still inflict some damage. And I'm going to drop a link to a great book about this by called Robert Blackwell, called War by Other Means. But what this leads to is a cycle of escalation. If we look at the screen right now, we have a triggering incident. In this case, October 7th, leads to conflict, the war in Gaza. But what are we missing? We don't get this new equilibrium. Nothing was resolved through Gaza. We went from Gaza to Lebanon to Iran. There's no latent conflict. We're just going to another triggering incident with Nasrallah, with the Iranian attack, with the likely Israeli response to the Iranian attack. This is kind of like the Cuban Missile Crisis, in a sense, where the United States wouldn't accept missiles in Cuba because that would be too close of a threat to them, and they needed to deter the Soviets by blockading the ships. But the Soviets wouldn't tolerate the missiles in Turkey because the missiles were too close to them. This is kind of the primary driver of international politics and the conflict that occurs within them. Now, if we look back to the April 2023 missile attacks that Iran undertook during Operation True Promise, and we compare them to the missile attacks that just took place now, I very much gained the impression that the Iranian response from April was an attempt to show a response for its domestic population and say, okay, we'll respond like this, but we're going to kind of throw a softball because we don't want a wider war. It was a signal. But I think that the Israeli government is like, well, no, we want to eliminate this threat forever. And I think there are also some machinations going on within the Netanyahu regime, notably with regards to his political and criminal future, that are also likely driving the continuing escalation of this conflict. So now we see that Israel took out Nasrallah. Iran launched this massive ballistic missile strike in response. So what's likely to happen now? Well, it's almost certain that Israel's going to retaliate against Iran, and they don't really have a choice in the matter because they have to deter Iran from doing this. But this creates a cycle, a vicious cycle, something we call the spiral model. If one side attacks the other side attacks back because it needs to show that it's credible about preserving its national security. So what is Iran going to attack then? This is how situations in international politics get out of control, and this is why so many theorists are worried about the potential for regional war, which would be the worst case scenario. It would involve Hezbollah, Syria, possibly Hamas, possibly some of the Arab states getting involved, and who knows what side this would be on. The way to stop this is through negotiation, through a ceasefire. But Iran doesn't recognize Israel's right to exist, and any attempts that have been made to broker a ceasefire, notably by the Biden administration, have been absolutely shot down by Netanyahu. So that is highly unlikely to happen. If we look at Ronan Bergman's book, Rise and Kill First, which I'll drop a link to in the description, about the Israeli targeted assassination program, we're seeing the Israelis continue. After taking out Nasrallah, they took out his potential successor with this massive bombing in suburban Beirut, again, of a massive underground bunker. We're seeing continued escalation. The Israelis are refusing to budge completely. I don't think Iran actually wants a full-on war, but it does want to continue lobbing missiles at Israel just because it's good for its domestic politics. But this is exactly how a situation gets out of control, because if we don't reach this phase of a new equilibrium and go back to latent conflict, then try to resolve the latent conflict, we're going to have consistent and iterated active conflict. And that looks like what is happening right now. And as the atomic scientists note, this is what de-escalation looks like. And this is what escalation looks like, because we never know, unfortunately, how far things are going to go. Please check out the books in the description. Please check out our website. Follow us on X. Drop us a like, a retweet. Follow us. Subscribe. Share this with your friends. Share this with your enemies, your frenemies. It would be much appreciated. My name is Kevin Deska. I'm the president of Prime Rogue Inc. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.